Hello, Steve White, TrekBoy89 for Steve Watts 89. Well, we finally got to the last episode of Lower Decks. Now, I had some good fortune because I was dreading watching this, and right when I was about to watch it, we had a power blackout in my area for like 3 hours. So I spent 3 hours in the dark and cold, basically. But it was better than watching this. And unfortunately, the power eventually came back on. And after many hours of procrastinating and putting it off, I eventually watched it. Because I thought maybe someone else will watch my review instead of the episode and I could save them the pain of watching it. So I watched it, and it had a pretty shocking ending, actually. I was really, really shocked by the ending, I have to say. But the story itself stole a lot of things from other things. I'll get into those. Okay, it starts off with the original series era alien race who worshipped like the computer Landru, and basically they started doing the same thing again. So they had to beam down and basically tell them not to do that again and to go back to basically what they were doing before. And they do, and it's pretty simple. They basically put a do not worship sign on the machine and they beam out. Then they show Boilerman and Mariner giving out art supplies to the kids. I don't know what the point of that was, just to break protocol and break the Prime Directive or something. I don't know what the point of that was. Maybe she was just getting money on the side. I don't know. But the surprising thing is that Boiler is joining in instead of having a go at her. And he eventually, they're just talking, and he takes his jacket off and puts it down, and his comm is on. And they're arguing, and she's trashing everyone on the ship and him for sucking up and basically her basic routine of, Starfleet is stupid, you shouldn't follow the regulations, I know everything, I'm the best ever. And then he's arguing back, and he mentions the fact that the admiral's, the captain, I keep calling her the admiral, she looks like an admiral, the captain is her mother. And of course everyone freaks out, she goes crazy, and eventually of course it spreads around the whole ship. So then when we get back after the ad break, because I hate that I actually laughed at this, but the captain beams them straight to the bridge in the middle of the conversation, and I don't know, something about that reaction did just sort of make me laugh. I don't know what it was. And then she, of course, is getting sucked up to by everyone on the ship and not being treated as an anonymous loser or an anonymous rebel or rule breaker or whatever she'd like to think of herself as. And yet she's trying to work out how to get around this, so then she decides to be the perfect officer so she can actually get transferred off the ship so she can get away from this again and do the same thing, basically be anonymous again. But Boilerman wants the same transfer, so they're competing for that. And I don't know if that's B or A storyline or whatever, but meanwhile, the USS Salvange. Oh God, I can't even read my own writing again. I don't know why I haven't write notes. Captain Dayton basically is attacked, and where this steals is that the only good thing about this show was they did have the look of the Next Gen down and the feel of the Next Gen down, and if you could just forget the stories and the characters and just the whole anti-Star Trek feel of the Kelvin era as a whole, you could almost enjoy it, like almost, but not really. Well, of course, they go absolutely Kelvin. All the shots, the battle, everything about it is Kelvin, like to the point of ripping off shots and scenes from the first movie particularly, which is pretty bad when you think about it, when they try so hard to look good and be action-packed, and the only way to do it is to steal from their own movies. Not even another show where maybe someone mightn't have caught on, but actually stealing from Star Trek 2009. And back on the ship, they've got new cadets and what's her name? The red chick. I'm thinking of I've got that witch demon lady from Enterprise and Enterprise, and whether or not she's actually going to be in Strange New Worlds in my head for some reason. I was thinking about that before. Tindy, the green chick, not the red chick, is excited about basically getting to take these new recruits through, the ship. And we find one called Peanut Hamper, who's an exocomp who you remember from Next Gen because, references. There's so many references in this episode. People have been making fun of that lately, but there really are a lot of references. So yeah, it's sort of just business as normal, and then all of a sudden a gigantic ship just comes out of nowhere, much like Star Trek 2009, starts firing stuff at the ship, grabs it, starts slicing it up. It's totally Kelvin. It's totally Kelvin universe, and it doesn't really work, but it's just there, and the whole time. I mean, I'm not offended because I don't have a real affection for the Kelvinverse, so the fact they're stealing from that didn't bother me as much as say if they were stealing from Motion Picture or Wrath of Khan or something like that. So basically, it's the Pakled. Apparently, they've amassed enough foreign technology and managed to get it to work together somehow, which makes no sense. There's no way they would get to this level of being able to use the technology they've stolen. They would not be able to understand it and be able to make it work together. So they're slicing up the ship, and of course the captain just gives up in a second, like, oh my god, this hopeless, we're outnumbered, we're outgunned, we don't know who these people are, blah, blah, blah. And she of course turns to Mariner and says, basically, I need a dangerous, half-baked, breaks all the Starfleet code solution, only you can do it. And of course she turns around and comes up with an idea of getting a virus into the ship because their combined technologies wouldn't be good for firewalls, I guess, I don't know. So they turn to, and the captain's injured, by the way, and they turn to the exocomp, who basically says, yeah, nah, I just joined Starfleet to upset my dad. I don't feel like endangering myself. See you later. Because apparently she has evolved, and I'm not going to go into where they stole that from Next Gen. So what ends up happening is Rutherford, who I was afraid was going to sacrifice himself because he's the only character I like, and that would have made sense. Now, that had happened, that would have made sense. If they'd killed him, and I just realised I'm not in my light, Mr. DeMille. If that would have made sense to kill the best character. So basically, he puts it into his implant, and the Bajoran psycho security guard grabs him, throws him in a shuttle, shoots through the debris field just like a Kelvin film, and smashes into the ship, and he beats up the Pakleds, who suddenly have helmets and are actually half decent fighters, which still, again, makes no sense. And they download the virus, and he got the virus from Badgie, of course, who had to turn evil again, and then Badgie wants to stop him from downloading it, and he wants to actually kill him in the process of downloading it. So he tries to do that. The Bajoran security guard basically rips out his implant, because I guess he's connected to the computer and Badgie is setting everything up to blow. So he basically throws him in a shuttle, which is quite horrific when you see him with his implant pulled out, and basically he looks like he's dead. It's pretty gross. And then he literally shoves the shuttle out. Now, how they're slicing up this, I want to say the Cerritos. I have other names for it. While they're slicing up the ship, and the crew's all running around trying to escape and being attacked by Pakleds who are suddenly warriors, which none of it makes any sense. Why aren't all these people shooting out into space? Like, how are they maintaining the shields in the air and everything? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Same thing with the shuttle that smashes through the side of the ship. He just shoves it back out and eventually gets picked up. And I'm trying to remember what happens. My God, it was just a blur of Kelvinverse images. Oh, that's right. They think they're going to escape, but then more Pakled ships show up, and they're outgunned again, and they've been hooked for these lines that are attached to all the other ships, and it looks like they're going to get torn apart. And all of a sudden, to no surprise, I already knew this, so I didn't have to know it, but I knew it. The Titan shows up, and Riker saves the day, just like in Picard. The only good thing is this time, Councillor Troy or Commander Troy is there with him as well, which doesn't make any sense because she basically was supposed to be taking care of her daughter after losing her son. all of a sudden she's back in Starfleet and doesn't care about endangering her children anymore. So, inconsistent with the character, inconsistent with Picard. Not surprised. They come in, they save the day, they blow them up, blah, blah, blah. And the Bajoran guy, of course, blew up when the ship blew up, so he sacrificed himself. And, basically Riker just saves the day, and he's just walking around being Riker. He doesn't sound like Jonathan Frakes or Marina Sirtis, but I guess they did the voices. Later on, they're just on the ship, just hanging out. Of course, they all know each other. He was Marina's mother's mentor, or says he was. She doesn't see it that way. That's right. And this is the part which is shocking, really shocking. Boilerman actually gets a promotion to the Titan. He actually gets to serve on a ship where they act like Starfleet officers and follow protocol, and he actually is respected, and his experience, he actually gets to be a boss. I did not see that coming. I was totally shocked. I was really shocked that they actually allowed him to win and not be taken down by Mariner. And Mariner ends up stuck in her bunk, texting him basically, saying, I can't believe you took the promotion, like he stole it off her and left her there to basically be the captain's daughter. Now, they showed another scene where the I keep wanting to call her the Admiral. The captain is basically saying, look, I should kick you out of Starfleet for all the things you did. Like all of her stuff she stole. She had all the contraband she had hidden in like all the corridor lockers and all that. They used those for weapons because apparently they had no weapons because, they don't have real security. I mean, they needed her, of course. None of that makes any sense either. But basically she said, look, I need someone like you. I like Starfleet doesn't work. I need you because what you do works. So just stay on the ship and we'll work together. So basically you break the rules and I'll cover for you. Criminality, nepotism, I mean, just what else? It's just totally unprofessional. And I'm just glad that Boilerman got out of there and got to serve on a ship, a real ship with an actual commander that respects authority and the law and morality and everything. And apparently it's almost like they tried to fix the series. They let Boilerman win. They made Mariner into a loser who's stuck on that ship, being the captain's daughter and having no respect and having everyone suck up to her and not getting to do what she wants and not be able to fly under the radar. And they actually basically made that ship just a bad ship commanded by a bad captain and not some sort of example of what Starfleet is as a whole, which is what the series seemed to be saying at the beginning. So, yeah, it had a shocking ending, and it seemed to almost fix some things. And I'm like, who did that? Almost like someone who was listening to the fans. I don't know. So where will it go next season? Will we have a season on the Titan with Boilerman actually being a decent officer? Or will we stay on... I've forgotten the name of the ship. I want to say the Cerritos. Is that Picard's ship, or is that... No, the Cerritos is that ship, yeah. I was getting the ships mixed up from Picard and that, because this show mixes a lot of things up with Picard as well. They basically stole Picard's ending, and the battles were from the Kelvin films, and the start was from the original series. So there's nothing original about this episode. And the last little thing was Rutherford kind of recovered, but he lost his memory. So Tindy was basically telling him everything that happened, and I'm guessing he won't have a button to push to change his personality, which was the running joke for this episode, which wasn't funny, where every time he pushed it, trying to get back to normal, he'd do something weird, like he'd suddenly be talking in a southern accent, or he'd suddenly be optimistic, or he'd be like in sexy mode, and it was, yeah. So I'm going to go, basically, it's over. I hope there isn't a second season. If there is, I hope it's with Boilerman and it actually resembles a Starfleet show, a Star Trek show with Starfleet actually behaving like Starfleet. And it did have a tiny little trailer for Discovery at the end, but I'm going to talk about that in a video I'm about to do about the whole panel they just did, which apparently had a few reveals, but I've been avoiding the very punchable face of Ketwolski. But I'm going to watch that and go through some of all of that now. But yep, I'm glad it's over. It was pretty bad. I was yelling at the screen a whole bunch of times. I had to stop the video a bunch of times because it's just like, what is this? It's so ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's like they took their regular tropes and just pump them up to a max for like the final episode, which was just more painful than usual, but it ended well. So I was absolutely shocked after sitting through all that Lower Decks crap. They actually had a decent ending, and even though they did just abuse Riker and Troy by just dragging them in to save the day and contradicting all the character development that they had in Picard, which was the only good thing about the whole of the Picard series, was that one episode with Riker and Troy. They still saved the day and kind of corrected a lot of the problems, and I'm glad Mariner got left where she was, miserable and unable to basically do what she wanted to do when the captain isn't covering for her. I don't know. I'm going to go. Thanks. Bye.